Okay, ji, assalamu alaikum. Now we are starting off with variations. When we talk about variations, that we are talking about two different things. One is direct, the other is inverse. It's a very simple topic. There's no need to panic in this. It's an easy mark gaining topic. Considering the fact that now let's say that we have y is directly proportional to x. So now one thing that is very sure that whenever it says y is directly proportional to x, so you need to create a formula, and the formula will be y is equal to kx. Similarly, if the question says y is inversely proportional to x, then the formula will be y is equal to k upon x. So when it says directly, so there is a constant with a number that we will be finding out, which is known as k, will be multiplied by x. Whereas if it's inversely, so we will have to what? Divide it, k is divided by x. If we continue with what type of formulas can be tested in the CI examinations, then we should be knowing that y is directly proportional to x square. This is another type of formula that can come. So that means this should be y is equal to kx square. We can also have y is inversely proportional to x square. Your formula will be y is equal to k upon x square. There's another type of formula that the examiner can test us. That is y is directly proportional to under root x. For this should be y is equal to k under root x. Now it can always say, write it down in the statement as well. It can be under root x in this form, or it can also write it down as under root x. So in both ways, the formulas will be same. Similarly, y is inversely proportional to under root x. Same thing, it can be shown as under root x, or it can be given in this statement. So we can write it down as y is equal to k upon under root x. Y is directly proportional to x plus 2. Now your mind should be processing in a way when it says x plus 2. So that means y is equal to k x plus 2. And on the same way, it says y is inversely proportional to x plus 2. So this should be divided. Y is equal to k upon x plus 2. Now, this does not mean that your formula will only have y and x. Your formula can also have y is directly proportional to under root q. So now the formula will be y is equal to k under root q, because it says directly. On the other hand, it can also have that p is inversely proportional to q square. So the formula will be P is inversely proportional to q square. Now, in this way, these statements are normally given in the question, and with the statements, what we need to do is we need to find out the formula. We need to obviously think about the formula and then write it down. Um, Considering the fact that we should be knowing that how to use these formulas, right? So the question can be y is directly proportional to x when y is equal to 20 and x is equal to 5. The examiner can ask you, part 1, write down formula or express the formula. Part 2, the examiner can tell you, find value of y when x is equal to 3, right? Or the examiner can also have, find value of x when y is equal to, let's say, 40. Now, this is your formula, which this is your question, which the examiner can ask you, right? So what we can do is, the question clearly says y is directly proportional to x. So with this regard, since y is directly proportional to x, y is directly proportional. So what we're going to do is, y is directly proportional to x. Now, since I already told you that these are the statements up above, obviously, and with the statements, we can write down the formula, but the formula is incomplete till the time you don't write the value of k. And the value of k will always come from the values that are given. That means y is 20 and x is 5. Now, these two things are already there in the question, right? So that means y is 20 and x is 5. So k is equal to 20 divided by 5. K will be 4. So knowing that k is 4, I can write down the formula now for part 1, since obviously I need to write down the complete formula. So this is going to be y is equal to 4x. So this is the answer for part 1. Now, knowing the fact that obviously k will remain constant, k is the value that will remain constant for any direct question or any inverse question. So what we need to do is, part 2, we'll be using the same formula for part 2. That means y is equal to 4x. Since we know that 4 is the value of k. So find the value of y when x is 3. Y 4, keeping x as 3. So that means y becomes 12. So now you have the value for part 2, and the value for part 2 when x is 3 is 12. Similarly, for the third part, the formula remains same as we found out that k value was 4, and we'll be writing down the formula as y is equal to 4x since we found out 4. Knowing that find the value of x when y is 40, so 40 is equal to 4x. And to find out x, what we need to do is, since 4 is being multiplied here, that should go on the other side and get divided. So that means x value is what? 10. So here is the value. Here's the answer for part 3. The answer for part 2 was y is equal to 12. And the answer for part 1 is y is equal to 4x. Now, similar type of questions can be tested in the normal circumstances when the examiner is asking you question.